Okay, hello everybody. Today we're going to be doing a workshop over choosing a citation manager. My name is Brad Fuller. I'm a graduate assistant at Ellis Library and a graduate student in the library science program here at Mizzou. And I'm going to present a slideshow, and me and two of my colleagues are going to share what we know about three of the most prominent citation managers. So I'm going to go ahead and open that slideshow, and then I'm going to turn it over to Emma.
Hi, so like Brad, my name's Emma. I'm also a graduate assistant in the reference department of the library, and I'm also a grad student in the library science program. So like Brad said, we're all kind of experienced in different citation managers, and so we're gonna today just kind of go over and see if we can help you figure out which one is the right one for you. So Brad, we'll go to the next slide. So basically all of the citation managers have roughly the same components. They're used to compile all of your sources in one place. They can annotate and create notes on your sources. You can access all of them from different locations. Most of them have a working PDF reader, working from a desktop. They can work with word processors while you're writing a long paper. And the biggest thing is that they format your references for your papers, and they can do in-text citations as well as format your bibliographies for you, which is very helpful and very nice. So we go to the next slide. So basically they all, like I said, do roughly the same things. It all comes down to which one you like best and what works best for your needs and what you're doing. So some of them are better for people that are in the sciences. Some people are better for those are in the humanities. And it really just comes down to what you're using it for. And like I said, like what works best for you. We're all different. So Brad, you'll go to the next slide. So I'm going to talk about EndNote. And there's actually two different kinds of EndNote that we have. So go to the next slide. So as of February of this year, we don't have the same access that we used to. We used to have access to the full EndNote 9 version for free for all the students. And unfortunately, the world sort of ended. And so that doesn't, that's not really the case anymore. So you can access the free version of EndNote, the basic version. And it still does roughly the same things as the full EndNote with, of course, a few differences. And if you really do like the EndNote desktop version, you can get that. It's just going to be $60, which is a lot for some people, I understand. So I'm going to start sharing my screen so I can kind of explain like the differences of like basic EndNote versus okay, can everybody see my screen? Yes. Okay. So basically, if you're just wanting to go to EndNote Basic from our website, it's really easy to just go through Web of Science. And then whenever you want to search for our stuff, you can go through Web of Science. And then so it already has me logged in, obviously. And so I'll go over here. And so basically, like I was saying, it's a place to put all of your references that you find while researching. So you can see a few here on my screen that I've already put in here. And then to the left of my screen, you'll see that you can put your references in groups. So if you have different classes that you're working on, you can organize your sources in that way. And so for the easiest, for me anyway, is your references are always going to be what you're wanting to look at first, obviously. And then if you want to search, you can do an online search like straight from EndNote. So you can search for like in PubMed, in Library of Congress, stuff like that. You can also manually input a reference if you want and put the own metadata in from something that you find. You can also import references. And so it allows you to do a lot of different things, which I think is really nice. And like I said, you can create groups. You can also add people to your groups. So like this, I've shared with a different email of mine. And then you can also download And you can, like I said earlier, you can put it into Word and do things like that. So really the only differences between basic EndNote and the full version of EndNote is that the full version of EndNote gives you a lot more storage. It allows you to have more formats, more, kind of just gives you like a bigger and better version, essentially. It lets you do a little bit more than you can do with the basic version. So really it just comes down to kind of how much you're needing, what you're wanting for your resources, and things like that. So Brad, if you can pull up the slideshow again. So like I said, the basic versus the regular EndNote will just have a little bit more. So like I said, the basic you can only use on a web browser, and the full EndNote you can do on any like on your desktop, on your iPad, stuff like that. And as you can see from this sheet, it just has a larger capability of things that you can do. So Brad, you go to the next slide. Yeah. So like I said, a lot of them will do the similar things, but obviously the free version is going to give you a little bit less than what the full version would use. They still both work with Microsoft Word and stuff like that, but again, it's going to be a little bit different. Next slide. And then again, like I said, the amount of references for each one is going to be a little bit different, a little bit more. And then next slide. So obviously we're not going to go super in depth to all three of these right now because that would just be a little bit confusing. So we have a couple more in-depth videos and guides on our Mizzou website that are listed right here. And then again, my name's Emma and I'm the one who knows about EndNote, and then one of our librarians, Mike Muchow, also is even more acquainted to it than I am. So if you guys want to set up a consultation, we can walk you through it more specifically for your needs. And things like that. So all of that contact info is right here on the screen. So I guess, does anybody have any questions? Put them in the chat or mute yourself. Nope. Okay, I'll let Logan take it away.
Hello, I'm Logan. I'm also a graduate assistant in CISL and work in the reference department as a graduate assistant. Mendeley is kind of my specialty. Right now, Mendeley is going through a lot of changes, positive ones, I hope. So some of the screenshots in this slide are going to show the older version of what's known as Mendeley Desktop, which is still being supported, but it will kind of be phased out in favor of the newest Mendeley Citation Manager. And I'll probably show you the newest one. It is missing a couple of features, but everything that you really need in a citation manager are still there. Next slide. So overview of Mendeley, what do I like about it? What is good about it? It has a web portal as well as a desktop application. The web portal is a little bit different. Right now, it works the same as the desktop for the most part, but that is also being phased out in favor of the desktop application, but there are still some cool things you can do online. You can view different data sets and different feeds. You can search the Mendeley catalog for citations. So both in the desktop version and online, you can do a search for a topic, and it'll come up. It's maybe not the best way to be searching for citations, but it can be helpful if you've already exhausted some other resources. And similar, it reads vaguely what is in your library, and it can give you suggestions based on what's in your library for articles that it might think will be useful to you. Next slide. So one of my favorite things about Mendeley is that it does really well for annotating your documents. And I'll show that in a minute in the newest version. So you can highlight, there are a ton of different colors. If you are sharing a library with someone, so if you made a group and shared it with someone, they can see all the same highlights. You can also put little post-it notes or actual annotations, and those will appear both in the actual document as well as off to the side. So if you know that you made an annotation like cite this, or this will be really good for paragraph 2, you'll see where you put your annotation paragraph 2. If you double click that, it'll jump you to that spot in the paper, which I think is really nice. You don't have to download anything extra. This just is how Mendeley works. Next slide. And this is kind of what the website looks like right now. Again, it will be changing in the future. But currently to the left, you can see, if I search for a paper on dogs, it'll show me some different papers related to or that have the word dogs in it. If it is something that is through there, because it's run by Elsevier, so if they can give you a PDF for it, they'll show you that there is a PDF available. It'll show you how many people have it in their library and how many times it's been cited. As well as the middle, the second picture shows suggested articles. So based on the articles that I have in my library, which are a lot of social issues in libraries, it's suggesting different types of articles. And then people to follow over to the very far right. Mendeley is kind of a social platform for research, so you can join different research groups and see what kind of citations they're posting and have conversations. And if you follow people to see what they're doing, then it will give you suggestions for other people to follow that might fit into what your interests are. Next slide. And so now I'm going to show you a quick demo of Mendeley, of how you can import a citation, and then how you can view your PDF. So this is my desktop. There are 2 versions of Mendeley. Mendeley Desktop is the one being phased out. This is what it looks like. So this is a shared group. If I click over on this note here, this is a sticky note, and it'll pop me right to where that sticky note is. I think it works really great. You can add your own notes here. And then, but what we're going to be working in is the other version, which has pretty much all of the same features as the older version. So when it first loads up, it'll ask you to sign in if it wants to load. Okay. It'll ask you to sign in. I'm already signed in. To import a file, you just go to File, or no, Add New. Sorry, this is new. And then you can add an entry manually. You can add a file from your computer. The stipulation here being that when you're adding files, it's not copying the file into your Mendeley library. It's essentially tracking a path from that folder. So if you're using Mendeley, I would highly suggest creating a folder, that says, Mendeley PDFs or something, so that to put all of your files in there that you want to go into Mendeley, or else if you move stuff around, it'll lose the file. And then the other thing is the post-it notes in this one. So you can write your annotations, but you also have a notebook. It doesn't work when you're in a private or public group, but say if I was in my own collection, I could write a notebook, and this is where you could take maybe longer notes if you don't want to get into a Word program. The reason why I suggest using this newer version, even if it doesn't have quite all the features that the other Mendeley version has, is the Word integration is much better. So if we're looking at Word and we go to references, you can see that I have a bunch of different reference options. Over here, Mendeley Cite-O-Matic is the old version, and so you had to click this and then kind of search for it, or actually open up Mendeley again and then insert it, and it was kind of clunky. So with the new one, they have just Mendeley Cite, and it pops up this little bar over to the side. And it is in beta, but I've found it's worked pretty well so far. So you can search, by title, author, if you have any tags, and then for all the ones you want to cite, insert your citation, and then when you're done, you can just click on more and insert your bibliography. And this was just kind of a brief overview. Again, we will be doing individual sessions if you request one. I'll show my contact information in a second, but if you really, really want to use, nice, simple insertion of your citations, and you really like to mark up your documents and share them with people, I think that Mendeley would be a good choice. Brad, if you want to go back to the slides. So at this point, does anybody have any questions about Mendeley? It is free. You have 2 gigabytes of space. I haven't used that up yet, so you probably won't need to pay for it. If you have questions and you want a one-on-one, can data from one? Yes, data from one citation manager is transferable to another. If you export your citation, each of them allow you to export as some type of file, and then import it to the other one. Is there a way to format the citation? Yes, so I can share my screen real quick. Screen one. So when you're in Word, this tab right here, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see the word? Okay, it says citation style, and you can change it to, these are just kind of the default ones, but if you select another style, you can search and it'll let you change it. And if you're using the old one over here under style, same thing. If you don't see the one you need here, click more styles and it'll be there. And I would say that it updates pretty regularly. So it already had, I updated to APA 7th a while ago. So yes, you do not need to have, so Mendeley Reference Manager is what the actual desktop version is. And then once you get Mendeley Reference Manager, you can go to Tools and install Mendeley Site for Microsoft Word. So there are 2 things that kind of work together. It's the same thing if you have the old version or you want to use the older version of Mendeley. You download just the desktop version, either Mendeley Desktop or Mendeley Reference Manager, and then under Tools, there'll be a little section for installing the Word component. Any other questions while I have my screen up? If not, you can always email me future questions. At the end, we'll have a link that we can post in chat as well for guides with more information. The guides are not updated with this most recent Mendeley stuff, but we will be updating that soon. Also, if you do just want to have a one-on-one session where we meet on Zoom and walk through stuff, we also do that too. I think I'm done with my section, Brad, if you would like to take over and talk about Zotero.
Thanks, Logan. Let's see. Okay, well, Zotero is similar to Mendeley and EndNote in a lot of ways. It's a place where you can store and organize citations. It has a similar layout, and it works with Safari, Google Chrome, Firefox, and it's compatible with most word processors. One thing that does stand out about Zotero is that it's open source, and so that means you don't need a university account or credentials to maintain a Zotero account or to use the software. So that might be useful if you want to continue your research after you leave Mizzou. Zotero is also instantly available by download. Let's see. In terms of, let's leave that up for a second. In terms of the layout, so the left-hand column contains the basic directory for all of your archived materials. To see everything you've saved, you click on My Library, or to zero in on specific collections, you would click on those folders. A new collection, I'm going to open up the actual program in a moment, but new collections can be created by just right-clicking on any of these folders, and it allows you to name and create a new folder. And you can create as many sub-collections within those as you wish. So then the middle column displays all the material that you've imported into Zotero. And then if you click on any of the individual items in the middle column, you can see the details in the right-hand column. So let me go ahead and exit the slideshow. Sorry for all this clutter here. Okay, so here's the actual program, Zotero. I'm actually going to start by showing you where to go to get it. So you just go to zotero.org and you can just click the download button in the center of the screen there. Then I just wanted to show you this. Once you have, it's really quick too to download it. Once you have it, you're going to want to install a browser connector, and there's browser connectors available for Safari, Chrome, Firefox, and then I'm not even familiar with Edge, but they have that as well. And there's a lot of uses you can get out of having that browser connector, which we'll go through in just a moment. So back to the program. Okay, so I wanted to show you how to actually import files into Zotero. So Zotero, you can actually drag and drop PDFs directly into it. So let's say I'm doing a project on dolphins, and I've got some PDFs of some articles I want inside Zotero. So I can just drag that right in. And it's going to bring in not only all this citation information, but it's going to bring in the actual PDF when I do that method. Here's another one right here. I'll just go ahead and drag it in. So that's the simplest, most straightforward way. And then again, that's going to bring the actual PDF into. I will show you one thing, or one caveat to that is that too many PDFs can sort of bog this program down. So it's handy to have them in, and I think it's not a problem up to a certain point. But if you start accumulating lots of PDFs, you're going to want to start to weed them out a little bit, or it could actually make Zotero crash. So one little trick is if I just click on one of these files and I go to this little paperclip icon, add attachment, I can attach a link to that file. And that's going to open this up. And here I have, let me see which one it was. Okay, I can just click on that file there. And then that's going to create a duplicate file. See this PDF here with the paperclip, and then I can just go ahead and delete the paperclip, or the original PDF. I can just delete, and that's going to free up the space on the program. If I click on this, it'll still take me directly to that file. So that's just a little trick. Let's talk about some other ways to import files in. So let me pull. Okay, first I want to talk about the browser connector. So when you have that browser connector installed, it's going to show up in this right-hand corner of your browser. Sometimes it looks like a Z. If there's something that you can save on the page and it's the Z icon, it's probably going to be a red Z. But that icon is sort of a shape-shifting icon and looks different in different contexts. So I'm going to start with just a newspaper article. Here's a newspaper article about dolphins. So I go up to that icon again and see it's changed into a little tiny newspaper. But to put that into Zotero, I can just click on that, and there it is, it's saving it to my library. So when I go back to Zotero, the article's there with all the information. All of these details too can be edited manually. And you see for the item type, there's a large selection of types you can choose from. The rest can be manually typed to edit. So it works for most web pages or any kind of articles you can use that way. Let's say I'm in a database and I have a whole bunch of stuff I want to import. So here I am, I use the Discover at MU search bar to search for dolphins. This is off of the library homepage. And it brings up this long list of results and a mix of stuff, books, articles, and I want all of it. So I go back up to this right-hand corner and see now here it's shifted into a little manila folder. I click on this and it's going to look a little different. Since there's so many different items to import, it's going to bring up this long list and I can just choose the ones I want. So I'm just going to choose a few here and then I hit OK. Uh-oh, said an error occurred. Let's try that again. Okay, well, technical difficulties always are going to arise at the worst possible time. I've never seen this error message, but usually what happens is all the ones, let's just see if I can get a couple at least. Usually it'll have no problem doing it. I'm not sure what the issue is with that. I've never seen this error message before. Normally this works pretty seamlessly where you can just select which articles you want and it'll import them into Zotero. Now, whenever you use this method, when you have a long list of search results and you're trying to import all the records in, it's not going to import the PDFs with the records, but it will still have all the citation information included. So I'm sorry I was not able to show you that, but usually it works, trust me. One other way I want to show you to import is if you have an ISBN number. So let's say I'm on Amazon, I see this book about dolphins. I can just scroll down and find the ISBN. I'm going to copy that. If I go back to Zotero, there's this magic wand icon. If I click on that, I can enter in an ISBN, a DOI, PMID, or archive ID. Any of those will work. I'm just going to paste this in. Hopefully this one's not an error. And there we go. So then the book is saved in with all the citation information. So those are the three main ways to get stuff into Zotero. Let's see if there's anything. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, so once you have your stuff in Zotero, let's say you want to create a bibliography. Well, I can just select these, right click, create bibliography from items. And then you can choose your citation style. I'm going to stick with APA. You want to have it where it's set to copy to clipboard and then get your word processor ready. And when I paste this in, it should already be an APA. And similarly to Mendeley, you can choose different citation styles. And I think there's more. Let's see. So they have all these available, and then I think there's a larger selection when you click on Manage Styles if you open that menu. So you shouldn't have any problem finding the citation style you like. So that is the basics of Zotero. And let me see, let me go, oh, I want to show you a couple more things actually, sorry. Okay, I also want to point you towards the Zotero LibGuide on the university website. That can be located, if you go to the university library website and you search in this right-hand search bar, just type in Zotero. This is going to be one of the first few results. This has got lots of great information that don't have time to go into right now. Lots of good videos about using Zotero, and really anything you could think of, any questions you might have. So that's one really great resource. And then I'm going to go back to this slideshow. And just like with Mendeley and EndNote, I'm available for personal consultations about Zotero. I have my contact information there at the bottom. And if you can't reach me, Rachel Breckus knows more than I do about Zotero, so she can also help you. So I guess at this point, I'll just say if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take them, or questions for Emma or Logan, we're happy to take any of those. So I'm going to exit this.
We did have one more slide that was kind of.
Oh, we have one more? Okay, there we go.
In conclusion, feel free to ask questions now. You can either direct message us in chat or just send it in chat. Or there is a LibGuide or a library guide page to that includes these slides. So if you want to refer back to them, it includes another version of the slides that's a little bit more detailed, but some of the things might be a little out of date, as well as the page has. You can bring up the page if you want, Brad, while we're talking about it. There are links to each of the LibGuides for the specific citation manager. So as Brad showed you the Zotero link or Zotero page, there's one each for Mendeley and for EndNote.
And as far as EndNote goes, there should be one that was updated for EndNote Web that we made recently since we lost our subscription to full, and there should also be one about the desktop version as well. So while it is in comparison really clunky to both Zotero and Mendeley, it does have really good basis for people that are in the sciences, looking for journals, and just as far as like sheer storage space. So again, like I said at the beginning, it's all about what you're going to use it for. If you want to continue it after you're done at MU, obviously Zotero is great. If you want to share, Mendeley is great for sheer storage, and they're going to be doing a lot with journals, then EndNote. And then again, like we all said, ask any of us questions if you have any. So.
I've got a question. For all three of these, do you actually do your research from it? Because I'm used to going to a database like EBSCOhost. I type in the keyword dolphin, and it pulls up. But it sounds like the three of these that you're doing research from inside of Mendeley or Zotero or EndNote. Am I understanding that correctly?
Technically, the way that most people is the way that you do it, where we go out to a database or something, and Zotero, you guys didn't get to see it, sorry, but the web importer for Zotero is really good. And Mendeley also has one that's in construction. So I would say you technically can do research within it. I don't think that's as popular. I think that's more just like, if you want an extra article or two, or if you're just interested in something, but it's more kind of a second, third choice for when you're searching out articles. All of the citation managers are designed to input, either the actual citation that you've exported from your database or the PDF, and then pull the data from that. So I would say you could, yes, but it's more of just like a nice feature added in.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I mean, I would just add to that. I mean, it's a great complement to your research. I mean, it's a great home base for your research where you can just keep everything in one place. I don't know if I would start I'm more familiar with Zotero. I don't know if I would start within Zotero, but if I'm doing research through some other resource and I've got my Zotero browser connector, that's going to make it so much easier to just grab all this stuff like in one shot and have it all in one place, if that makes any sense.
And adding it to Word while you're doing it instead of having to go back and being like, this is from this article, this is from this one, I can't keep track, and it'll do all of them. Like we said, we'll put them in for you. Super easy, especially when you're writing super long papers and are very stressed.
Thank you all for attending. I know this maybe isn't the funnest thing for you to be doing with your afternoon. Again, please do, send us an email, check out our guides. We are more than happy to walk people through the specifics. We spent a lot of time working with these, both as part of the job, but also in our own research usage, or at least I know I use Mendeley almost every day. So, feel free to reach out, any questions. We're more than happy to help.